What's up, my fellow gamers out there? Well, I just came back from Banoi Island, and I have to say that this was a bloody hell of a holiday. I literally see you wearing my Hawaiian shirt, got my sunglasses, my sun cream, and my most trusted axe. Yep. As you can see, there is still have some stains on it, and it's pretty worn, but I had to say that this was the most useful thing on my holiday. Yeah, you're probably a bit confused why I did an axe for a beach holiday in a beautiful resort. But let's say that Banoi Island had some activities. No, not those kind of activities which you expect in a resort, to play volleyball next to the beach bar. Some activities where you need something really sharp, or a blunt weapon, or just firearms, or throwable Molotov cocktails. Yeah. But let's just not jump in the middle of the story. Let me just start it from the beginning and tell you how this crazy holiday started. And despite all of these, I'm gonna go back to Banoi Island because this place is just awesome. Alright, let's get started. Phew, where shall I start? Okay, so I woke up in my hotel room feeling exactly how you're supposed to feel after a night of partying too hard in paradise. You know the feeling. You not even remember how you got back to your hotel room. You just pass out. And the next morning, that dry mouth, pounding head, and that vague sense that you may have promised something you can't remember to someone you hope you never meet again. First, I not even noticed that anything is wrong apart from my terrible hangover. The room itself was calm, sunlight shining through the curtains, ocean breeze coming in like nothing in the world was wrong. I didn't wake up to alarms or explosions or emergency broadcasts. I woke up to silence. And that's when I realized that something is off. It is too quiet outside. I should hear noises from the corridor. Families with kids. Someone is asking someone where the beach bar is. But when I stepped out into the hallway, I thought that maybe everyone went to the beach a little bit early. A lot of people are still sleeping after last night's party. Then I saw the first body. At first, I didn't register as a danger. I registered as confusion. Why this person is lying on the floor, covered in blood? Where are the emergency services? Also, I noticed that some people were covered in blood, walking strangely, like they were exhausted or drunk, or hurt badly enough that they shouldn't be standing. I remember thinking, still crippled by the terrible hangover, what happened here? No, what is happening? Because your brain doesn't jump to the end of the word immediately, it tries to stay polite, rational. Then one of them turned toward me and rushed me. And that's when fear finally caught up. I didn't fight because I was brave. I fought because I panicked and my hands found something heavy and I swung before my brain could tell me not to. That was my first lesson in Banoi. After it, all went to hell. Survival doesn't start with understanding. It starts with instinct. When I finally made it outside, the shock almost stopped me. I was standing on a massive balcony overlooking the resort and the island. The sky was perfect, the ocean was calm, the island looked exactly like it did in the ads, but things felt really off, and suddenly I had to run. When I finally made it to the beach, I found people who didn't know what to do yet. Some were helping, some were hiding, some were already past the point of caring. Nobody had answers. But I had to start work on things and find out what the hell happened overnight while I was in a delirium. And that was when my journey through the island has been started. Very quickly, the hotel told me how things work now. There was no time to stop and think. I had to run. And believe me, with that hangover it was not easy to do, but arriving to this apocalypse, hangover was the last thing I cared of. As I made my way out of the hotel onto the beach, I started to learn the new rules of the island. Everything can be and has to be a weapon, which will eventually break. I learned that aiming didn't matter as much as timing, that stamina mattered more than strength, that knocking something down was often better than trying to kill it outright. At first, I wasn't winning fights, I was escaping them. Room by room, floor by floor, I moved because standing still meant getting surrounded. And getting surrounded and dying in a place that used to hand out complimentary drinks. And this is really fucked up. Someone said the lifeguard tower was safe. Someone always says that. High ground sounds like control. Radio sounds like rescue. Light sounds like hope. So, I went there, not because I believed it would save me, but because I needed something to walk toward to. My journey toward the lifeguard tower felt like progress. Like if I kept moving upward, the situation would start making sense. For a little while, it almost did. There were survivors, plans, rules. And for the first time since I woke up, it felt like maybe this wasn't the end. Especially I could help people with small tasks and favors. Bring medicine, food, stuff like that. But it felt that I'm helping and making things getting a bit okay and normal again. But that feeling didn't last. The radio didn't bring rescue, the military didn't show up, and the number of infected just kept growing. My initial hope was fading away quickly. That's when I understood something important. This wasn't an emergency anymore. This was a new normal. And staying in one place meant waiting for it to reach you. So I left again, moving towards a new hope of ending this nightmare. The island opened up for me after that. Resorts were vacations froze in time. Roads clogged with abandoned cars and buses. Scattered luggage everywhere. Everywhere I went, I found signs that people had tried to wait it out, or made a run for it. Block the door, block the windows, hope it passes. But it never did. It caught some people when they just leaving the bus which transferred them to the resort. That's what I call a surprise at arrival. But I kept moving, because movement meant options. And options meant survival. I went to the city because that was where hope was supposed to be. Police station, emergency services, maybe the army as well. The city is where resources is supposed to be, where answers might still exist. But the city was even worse. It really felt like the apocalypse has been arrived. Cities ascended into hell, narrow streets, overturned cars. The situation here went from bad to worse really quickly. Somewhere along the way, fear stopped being constant. It didn't disappear, it just became manageable. I stopped reacting and started anticipating. I stopped fighting everything and started choosing when to fight. I had to focus on my tasks. I became stronger and acquired new very useful skills. I was also become more efficient with my weapons and tools, and at least this felt like real progress in this hellscape. That island forces you to stay, and stay close. No distance, no safety. When you're fighting the infected, you feel every hit and every mistake. It doesn't let you forget that survival is physical and ugly and exhausting. You don't dominate the island, you endure it. Somewhere along the way I started thinking of weapons as things you pick up, and started to thinking of them as temporary solutions. Because nothing on Banoi lasts forever. Not plans, not safe zones, and definitely not weapons. At first, I grabbed whatever I could swing. Table legs, pedals, pipes. If it had weight, it had potential. Blunt weapons were honest like that. They didn't slice, they didn't stab, they just ended situations very forcefully. Blunt weapons were good for control, breaking bones, knocking things down, buying yourself breathing room when everything got too close. They weren't elegant, but neither was survival. Sharp weapons were different. Machetes, knives, axes, they demanded precision. They rewarded good timing and punished bad decisions. A clean hit felt efficient, a bad one got you grabbed. And then there were the tools that blurred the line. Modified weapons, improvised nightmares built out of junk, duct tape, and poor impulse control. Blueprints changed everything. They were scattered all over the island like someone wanted us to survive just enough to suffer longer. Folded papers, notes, diagrams, promises that if you combine the right trash, you could make something better. Or worse, depending on your point of view. Electric mods turned crowds into spasm of chaos. Fire mods burned through enemies and durability at the same time. Poison was slower, meaner, like the island itself. You'd find the parts anywhere. Garages, suitcases, shops that used to sell souvenirs, and now sought silence. Crafting became a ritual. Not because it was fun, but because it gave you control in a place that had taken everything else. Every upgrade felt like saying, I'm still here, and I'm adapting. Even if the weapon was going to break in 10 minutes anyway. Weapons weren't enough forever. At some point I realized that the real problem wasn't what I was holding, it was me. I got tired faster than the infected. I hit hard, but not smart. I survived fights I shouldn't have, and barely survived the ones I planned. And that's when I started changing myself. Not dramatically, not all at once, just enough to keep going. I learned how to manage my stamina better, because running out at the wrong moment, I meant dying tired. I learned how to hit harder when it counted, instead of swinging wildly and hoping for the best. I learned how to knock enemies down more reliably, because enemies on the ground are problems that aren't biting you. Some skills didn't make me stronger, they made me smarter. Better kicks, more durability for weapons, more control when things went wrong. I wasn't becoming a hero, I was becoming harder to kill. Anything that kept me moving longer mattered. Stamina regeneration, efficiency. Anything that kept enemies on the ground mattered even more, because standing enemies make choices, fallen ones doesn't. And the skills that let me repair weapons better or get more out of what I found, those were survival skills disguised as numbers. By the time I realized it, I wasn't reacting to the island anymore. I was built for it. And that realization didn't feel good. It felt necessary. Dead Island doesn't end with victory. It ends with acceptance. The world didn't end loudly. It ended quietly while we were asleep in a hotel room after a crazy party. So, the main question of this video, should you play Dead Island? Yes, absolutely. This is a fantastic game. I remember when I played it back when it came out on the PS3, it absolutely blew my mind. It was a completely different experience what I seen from before. It's the premises, this really high contrast in the beautiful the beach, the resort, and the whole atmosphere is just mixed with the zombie apocalypse. It is just absolutely fantastic. The combat, the different weapons which you can customize, it's very satisfying, and the quests as well. It's okay. It's most of them is like fetch quests, but it's really, you really feel that you are doing something and you just making something to make the situation a bit better. And of course, it's never going to be better, but it still feels like that you are actively contributing for the whole situation to get better. So it's definitely very worth playing, and I think this was probably my third playthrough, but I'm going to make a fourth one as well, because time to time it's really good to go back to Banoi Island, and it's just a very good experience. If you like these kind of games, this is a must play. And if you haven't had enough of Banoi Island, there's Dead Island Riptide, which is, I wouldn't call it a sequel. It's not a sequel. It is not even a DLC, but it's a complete game, and it's still this one is also worth playing. So I really much recommend to play both. And if you can complete both of them in about 20-25 hours, but if you want to maximize your experience, there's a lot of side quests what you can do and just explore the whole island. So this is an experience which is really worth taking, but make sure to take something sharp or blunt with you, because you're going to need it. And I hope that you enjoy this little trip to this hell in paradise, and I'm going to see you in the next Perco Quest video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.